camp oven bread rolls better than damper? That's a big call. Let's see how we go. Just make sure to give yourself a good 3 to 4 hours for this recipe, as the dough does need to rest periodically. First, you want to build yourself a nice big fire with plenty of coals for cooking your bread rolls on. The few ingredients we're going to need: some white sugar, baker's yeast, a bit of salt, some plain flour, some butter, and a bit of water. To make 8 bread rolls, you'll want 4 precisely measured cups of plain flour. I did say precisely. Next, we want about 2 tablespoons of white sugar. Even if you don't like sweet things, the sugar is important. Sugar feeds the yeast, which makes the carbon dioxide bubbles in your bread, which makes it fluffy. Bit of sea salt, about a teaspoon, about 10 grams of baker's yeast. I put about a teaspoon and a half. Give your dry ingredients a bit of a stir in. I like to use a knife, seems to be the best thing for mixing bread dough. 2 tablespoons of butter. Again, very precisely measured. A little bit of water to get started. Start stirring it in. If you want to get in with your hands and make sure the butter's all mixed in with the flour, go for it, but it's not necessary. Keep mixing and adding water bit by bit. Stirring in with the trusty knife. A little bit more. You can tell when you've got enough water in your dough when it starts to come together in one big lump. You can see it starting to come together now. That looks perfect. One of the most important things is giving it a good initial knead, probably 10 minutes or so. If you think the dough's a bit sticky, throw a bit more flour on it, just keep kneading. Starting to feel pretty good now, so we'll put it back in our bowl and just set it aside somewhere nice and warm so it can rise. I like to sit the bowl back inside a camp oven that's sitting beside the fire. No direct heat, just nice and warm. You're probably going to have to leave the dough for about an hour to rise, so sit back and enjoy your fire. After the dough's risen, we take it out, give it another quick knead. Don't need too much this time, just a minute or so. Then pop it back somewhere warm, let it rise a second time. Look at that. Now we're ready to shape our buns. We'll give it a quick knead to start with, then we roll it into a nice even sausage shape. Cut the sausage in half, then cut the halves in half. As best you can, doesn't need to be precise. Spin the quarters around 180 degrees and cut each one of them in half, and that'll give you your 8 buns, and this is probably the most accurate way to get them fairly even. Coat the inside of your camp oven with some butter. This will make sure they pop out nice and easily when they're done. And here's a little secret that'll make sure you get beautiful looking buns every time. Find one smooth side of the dough and tuck the dough up from underneath, creating a nice tight top on the bun. Almost like you're tucking in a pair of socks or something. This will give you that nice domed top on the bread roll. Space them out nice and evenly. Throw the lid back on, put it somewhere warm and let them rise again. By this time they should be a nice tight fit like that. Now it's time to get some coals out and start cooking. Not too many coals underneath the camp oven, you don't want to burn the bottom of your buns. Set your camp oven on the coals. Good amount of coals on top. Put out any potential bushfires and let them go. Depending on how much heat you've given them, somewhere around the 15 to 19 minute mark to get them cooked. Just check them periodically. If you need to add more heat, add more heat. It's all trial and error. But when it's all said and done, this is what you get. Beautiful. Get a load of that. Ugh. Even cooked properly underneath. Oh, who wouldn't like one of them with a hot stew or a bit of roast pork? Oh, mate, give it a go. Easy as.